Hey everybody, this is Rudy Sarza with The Dash, and today's guest is one of my favorite drummers in the world. Either that I play with or have not played with, but I have played with you.
Yes.
It's Simon Wright.
Hey Rudy, how you doing?
Speaking of playing, I mean, we have a record that's coming out September 14th. Dream Child includes Craig Goldie.
Yes.
And
yes.
Wayne Finley.
Wayne Finley, yep.
And Diego.
And Diego.
That's
yeah.
right. And from Argentina.
Yes.
You know, when I first joined Ozzy used to introduce me as Rudy from Cuba. So
wow, okay.
So Diego will be Diego from Argentina.
Argentina, from Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, yeah. And he's
actually, he's living in Spain now, isn't he, I think?
Yeah, he's living in Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which is a wonderful place to live, as you know. I mean, you and I, we toured Spain a few times.
We did. We did
Dio.
it with Ronnie.
With Dio. Yeah, with Ronnie. That was an incredible experience. Great audiences there. Great food.
There was one bad experience, though. You got your bass guitar stolen.
Yes, I did. I think
Barcelona.
it was Valencia or Granada. I think it was Granada.
It could have been, yes.
Or
yes.
Valencia. Yeah, I just come back from having dinner by the beach with Ronnie.
Yeah.
And I think it was Steve McNarty.
Yep.
And I came back, and my bass was two Cirrus PV basses, like the original. One of them was the prototype for that model.
Beautiful guitars.
Beautiful guitars. It sounded great.
Yep.
They were stolen out of the tour bus. I had both of them in one double gig bag.
Right.
That was heartbreaking.
That was the only bad thing about Spain.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Besides that, everything else is always wonderful.
Did you ever get them back?
No. As a matter of fact, I went to file a police report immediately to the police station and say, well, you know, it happens.
It happens, yeah.
I'm not going to go into details, but it happens. So, but anyways, going back to the record, it's getting a lot of great reviews out there.
It is. It's exciting to read the reviews and stuff and the comments and what people are saying about it. It's going to drop, be available on September 14th.
September 14th, and we shot 2 videos.
Yep.
One of them is already available, and I believe the second video is going to be available. Do you know when?
I think that's going to be on the day the record's released. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Somehow.
It's really exciting. Yeah, I mean, it's...
and actually my participation is as a special guest because I'm a member of the Guess Who.
Yes.
And I told the record company and I told Craig that, I cannot really commit to being a member of the band because of my commitment to the band that I'm in,
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, it tends to confuse fans a little bit, not as much as it would do 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where it was unheard of for a member of a band to be doing a side project.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, but nowadays, because, there's...
Well, you've got the power of the internet, which you can make people aware of what you're doing and what you're committed to and what you're not.
But also, I think it's due to, in addition to what you just said, the fact that anytime you release a record, I don't care if you're Metallica or whatever, the record has a very short shelf life compared to before streaming, when people would actually buy the record and MTV used to, play a series of videos. If you had a hit record, you could be on the road for about a year and a half.
That's
devoted
true.
to that, to promote that record, that tour, the videos that came along with it, usually 4 videos. Yeah. And but now it's different. I don't care who you are. The record's only going to hit for about maybe a month and a half, 2 months, the most.
It's sad but true.
Yeah,
talking to Metallica.
Yeah,
and
it is.
It's changed.
Even in the case of Metallica, they do stadiums. So instead of playing they play in one day for as many people as they used to play in 1 week.
Yes, that's right.
So if they will go out for 30 weeks, they do maybe 15 stadium shows. I know it's a different math, but it just, usually it's like that. And it's spread out. Yeah. So, even the big names, they have a lot of time in their hands to do other projects. Yes. If they want to.
Yeah. These days, it doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that these days.
Yeah, exactly.
But I agree with you about the shelf life of the albums. They don't seem to last as long. I think certain platforms have disappeared, like you were saying, MTV. and stuff, and there's people can make an album, record an album. It's so easy to do these days. You have your Pro Tools, and God bless, we have the internet.
Yeah, which we took advantage of that technology, even in the making of this record.
In this record, we did, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a lot of the music got sent to one another.
Yeah.
I know you did it that way.
I did, and but I do a lot of projects like that nowadays. It's very it's a unique situation when I actually get to go into a recording studio. Like let's say fly to Nashville, record at Blackbird Studios, and just spend like maybe 2 days or a day recording the tracks, and you're done.
Yeah.
And it's a very unique experience. But nowadays, which again, it gave me a whole different understanding of engineering. I get to engineer my own bass sound, and matter of fact, the way I approach it, like I know you would. Okay, let's say when you go in the studio, how do you approach your recording?
Well, like you say, it doesn't happen as much whereas you go to a recording studio. I do more, but it's more playing along to tracks that have already been completed with a click track. That's the way it goes, It's like, because it lessens the expense. A lot of the time the session goes quicker, so it's easier on the budget for the other people. Talking of budgets, that's a whole other set of questions. But yeah, I go in, I play the click track. I've already had the tracks to listen to and to get inside my head, and I've got ideas in my head and stuff, and I just go in and I see what comes out. The Dream Child album that we've done, Craig came down and we went over some ideas together, and he listened to some of my ideas that worked out pretty good and were quite different from what he'd done on the demo. Because it's different when a drummer actually thinks about a song than a guitar player with a drum machine. Sometimes that works, sometimes there's leeway for different ideas, and that's what me and Craig did. We sat there and we went through and changed a couple of things up, and he was very happy, and so was I, because it was very sort of fluid and organic. It wasn't mechanical or contrived or made up. I just played, and it really worked out that way.
Yeah, I mean, before I go into the details of how I feel the outcome of the record, which is outstanding. It's an outstanding record. I'm very proud to have been involved in it, with the recording of all the bass tracks.
You sound amazing on it. Yeah,
but it was cool. A very unique, like you just mentioned, a very unique workflow. The fact that I got, because of time, again, I'm on tour, and we had made a commitment to record this record like a few months before, but Goldie was tied up finishing another record. So it came to a crunch, and we only had about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 2, to deliver it. And you were busy doing all this stuff, so some of the tracks that I got, I would say a lot of the tracks did not have your drums. Which at the time I was really, really hating it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's like when you do a track and there's no vocal on it. The vocal really helps you get a feel for the taste of the song.
That's another thing. Yeah, the vocals were not on. They were like guide vocals,
Yeah.
And so what happened is okay, Goldie sent me a ghost track. Yeah, kind of like telling me, this is the direction, for the bass, 8 notes here, quarter notes there. So I said, okay, now I got the click, I got a drum machine, which is basically a click, but I got the guitars. So I go, okay, I'm going to follow more or less what the guitars are doing. And what I would do, I would finish the track and send it to Goldie to get his final approval and then move on to another one. But it was done really quickly because I only had like 3 days to do this for delivery, And I think once all the pieces were put together, it's a very unique, for me it is, because I had never done that. So I approached the bass completely different than if I would have been listening to what you were playing on the tracks.
Right, yeah.
So I really liked it. It was like one of those happy accidents.
I think it is. That's a good way of putting it. I think it's got a real sort of live kind of. It's not too polished. It's really us playing, but we're not. We weren't playing together, as it were. But It does sound like that. Sounds like a band already.
It does. It does. If anybody's wondering in the background, if you hear like a little yappy little dog, it's baby Willow. She wants to be part of the conversation.
Heavy metal Willow.
She's got an opinion. She's heard the record. And she wants to tell
screech. She's screeching high there.
She loves the records. But that's another thing. When I was, because I go to my little studio in the house and I sit there in my comfortable clothes. Sometimes I'm naked.
Uh-oh.
I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Naked with Willow?
The heavier the song, the less clothes I wear. In my house, which I'm allowed to do that.
I don't think I need to hear this. I'm feeling trapped.
I'm not going to go any further into that, but imagine that. Okay, so I'm sitting there, and my little dog is kind of like looking at me, going like, "Oh, Dad, what are you doing? Put some clothes on." But she listens. And there's certain songs, and even though I have my headphones, she can hear certain things going on. Because, dogs have incredible hearing. They can hear things that we don't even know exist.
Right.
She can hear the voices in my head.
Okay.
So she'll come in and really, she'll get close to me for the heavy, really fast song. She'll come over and look at me.
She's really worried about you.
Yeah.
He's having a seizure or something. Something's horrible's going to happen.
You know what she does? She looks at my fingers, because sometimes I will play with my fingers, or sometimes I will play with a pick, which is another thing. People out there wondering, hey, Rudy only plays with his fingers. No, sometimes just to get a certain tone.
Yeah.
You got to play with the pick.
Yes.
That's what I do.
That.
And what I do is I have a bunch of picks, and I audition my picks. And some of the other picks get jealous because I didn't pick them. Yeah, I have a collection of picks. I have my own line of picks, actually, if anybody's wondering. I do ChromaCast, so you go to the ChromaCast website.
So you're kind of picky about your picks, right?
I'm very picky about my picks. But yeah, what I do is I have all these different basses. For really heavy music, I lean towards my Spectre basses, which I love. I mean, they have that tone that just keeps up with the Marshall stacks and your heavy drums and all of that.
They sound awesome.
Yeah, they sound awesome.
Yep.
And then for certain other tracks that I may cut with other projects, I use a variety of different brands and makes and models and all that stuff.
That's cool.
But it all comes down to finding that certain instrument that sits really well with the other tracks.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get buried or it's not too overbearing,
yeah.
Of a tone. You want it to be just perfect.
Yeah. I think with drummers, it's snare drums. There's always a certain thud or clack that's needed, and certain drums can give you that. Certain ones can't. You've got to pick one that's going to work.
What about the kick?
Yeah, the kick too. Sometimes you tune in a little different, depending on the track.
Depending on the track.
Like you're saying, you use different basses. You've got to think about the drums sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have time because the budget restraints, and you have to do it so quickly that you don't get that luxury of fiddling around too much.
But you know what? Talking about that, let's go back to the beginning. The first time I saw you, actually not the first time. Let me rephrase that. Well, yes, it is the first time I saw you, because the first time that we played together, I did not get to see you. It was Quiet Riot in 1983, and you and AC/DC were the headliners at the Tacoma Dome.
In Seattle.
Yeah, in Seattle. In Tacoma, not in Seattle, in Tacoma.
Okay.
In the same state.
Right.
Okay. Well, it is Tacoma Dome.
Was that show where they set off a rocket and it hit the roof?
We left immediately because
you left. That's probably a good idea.
What happened was we did that show in our day off. We were opening up for Maiden on the East Coast.
Right.
So we got after the show, we got a red eye from Maryland or wherever we were on the East Coast. We flew to Oregon, and we did the show, and we got back. I think it was a private plane. It was private, flying private.
Right.
The only way to be able to make it back,
to make it back
to the next day to be at the gig.
Yeah.
So we didn't stick around.
Yeah, I don't think I met you then. I don't think I met you.
No, I think you guys were really upset at Quiet Riot at the time, and then just
Oh no, I don't think so. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that wasn't it.